Leah walked into the school building with careful steps. She wore a plain navy blazer over a second-hand blouse. Her shoes were scuffed, but polished. She held her head high, even though her heart beat too fast. The hallway smelled like old books and pencil shaving. Parents were already gathering in the library for the PTA meeting. Most of them were couples. Mums with styled hair and perfect nails. Dads in suits, holding coffee. Leah walked in alone. As she took a seat near the back, she heard whispers. "That's the one whose husband ran off. She always looks like she's struggling." She kept her eyes on the floor, pretending not to hear. The teacher at the front, Ms. Carlyle, scanned the sign-in sheet and then looked up. "Miss Holloway? Sorry, Mrs. Holloway?" A few parents chuckled. Leah gave a small smile. "Just Leah is fine," she said. Rachel Linwood, the PTA president, sat near the front with a group of other well-dressed mums. She leaned over and whispered something. More laughter followed. Leah didn't need to hear the words. She already knew the tone. Outside the library doors, her son Noah waited with his backpack, reading a book. He was only 8, but too smart not to understand. He looked up, saw the laughter, and quickly looked away. The meeting went on. They talked about uniforms, new gym equipment, and a fundraiser for the spring carnival. Leah raised her hand. "Excuse me," she said, her voice calm but clear. "I think it would be better if some of that money went to the library. Some kids don't even have books at home. Maybe we can help them more directly." For a moment, there was silence. Then Rachel spoke. "Well, Leah," she said with a smile that wasn't kind, "some of us work hard to raise funds. Maybe if certain households had 2 parents and some real values, they wouldn't need handouts." People laughed again. Leah froze. She felt her cheeks burn. She looked toward the door. Noah was staring right at her. She stood up slowly. "Thank you for your input," she said, her voice tight. "Maybe compassion isn't part of your family values." And with that, she left. Outside, the air was cool and sharp. Leah stood still, looking at the sky. Her hands were shaking, but she didn't cry. Not this time. Something inside her had changed. She wasn't going to stay quiet anymore. Leah wasn't always tired and worn out. Once, she had dreams that lit her eyes, and a voice that people listened to. She had studied journalism and landed a job at a big news magazine before she was even 25. She used to stay up late writing stories about injustice, poverty, and the forgotten corners of the world. People said she was going places. She had been in love too. Marcus was charming, ambitious, and full of smooth words. In the beginning, they laughed a lot, traveled, made promises late at night. Leah thought she had everything: love, a future, a career. But everything changed when she found out she was pregnant. Marcus didn't take it well. He told her the timing was wrong, that she should think about her future. He said a baby would ruin everything. When she refused to get an abortion, he packed his things and left. Just like that. Her parents didn't support her either. "You've shamed the family," her father said. "A child without a father. What will people think?" They stopped answering her calls. She was 26, alone, pregnant, and broke. Now, 8 years later, Leah stood behind the counter at a local diner 5 days a week. She smiled at rude customers and worked late into the night once Noah was asleep, doing freelance writing for blogs and small websites that barely paid. Their apartment was small, just a 1-bedroom with a fold-out couch and peeling wallpaper. But Leah made it feel like home. There were hand-drawn pictures from Noah on the fridge, fairy lights on the bookshelf, and second-hand books stacked in every corner. Noah was the reason she kept going. He was quiet and clever, always reading, always asking questions. But lately, he'd been coming home from school with bruised feelings. "Did someone say something again?" she'd ask gently. He'd shrug. "It's nothing." But it wasn't nothing. Kids whispered things they heard from their parents. "Your dad didn't want you." "Your mum works at a diner." Even teachers seemed to expect less from him. One morning, after Noah left for school, Leah sat in front of her laptop and opened the job board for local newspapers. She saw a listing: staff writer, community and social issues, full-time. Her heart sped up. She wrote a careful cover letter, added her portfolio links, and hit send. A few days later, she got a reply, an interview. She wore her best dress, clean and ironed even though the color had faded, and met the editor in a cramped office downtown. "You've got a strong background," the editor said, flipping through her resume. "But don't you think this might be too much, considering your situation?" Leah frowned. "My situation?" "You're a single mother, right?" he said, not even blinking. "It's a demanding job. Lots of deadlines, long hours. Maybe something more flexible would suit you better." She walked out of the building with tight fists and a tight jaw. It wasn't the first time someone had written her off, but this time it stung deeper. She was tired of people seeing only her struggles, not her strength. Later that evening, her phone buzzed. A message from Janelle. "Need wine and venting? Come over." Janelle had been Leah's friend since before Noah was born. A fierce, loud woman with 3 kids and a sharp tongue. Janelle never sugar-coated anything. "You should have slapped that editor with your degree," Janelle said, pouring them each a glass of cheap red wine. "You've raised a kid on your own, you're working 2 jobs, and you still write better than half those clowns." Leah smiled weakly. "Doesn't matter. They see me and think poor single mom, not someone worth betting on." Janelle leaned forward. "One day," she said firmly, "they'll wish they treated you better. All of them. You'll see." Leah didn't say anything, but her chest ached with quiet hope. Back home, Noah was already asleep on the couch. She gently lifted him into bed, kissed his forehead, and sat at her desk. Outside, the city buzzed with life, but inside, it was just the soft click of her keyboard and the quiet hum of a mother who refused to give up. Leah was finishing the dinner dishes when a knock came at the door. She wiped her hands on a towel and walked over, expecting a neighbor or maybe a package. But when she opened the door, her breath caught in her throat. It was Marcus. He looked different. Expensive coat, clean-cut beard, watch that probably cost more than her monthly rent. His smile was too wide, too smooth. "Hey, Leah," he said like no time had passed. "Mind if we talk?" Leah stared at him for a long second, her hand still on the door. "Noah's not here," she said sharply. "I came to talk to you," Marcus replied. She stepped aside without a word. He walked in like he still belonged there. Leah stood near the window, arms crossed. "What do you want?" He looked around the apartment, taking in the small space, the second-hand furniture, the bookshelf missing a leg. She watched him judge it all without saying a word. "I want to be part of Noah's life," he said finally. "I know I made mistakes, but I've changed. I'm ready now." Leah almost laughed. "Ready? After 8 years of silence? After leaving me pregnant and alone?" He raised a hand. "Look, I wasn't in the right place then, but I'm getting married now, to someone very public. Her dad's in politics. They think having a family image would help. And, well, Noah deserves to know his father." Leah's heart pounded. "So this is about your image? About impressing your new in-laws?" Marcus didn't deny it. "It's not just that. I want to do the right thing. Be a father. Shared custody. Maybe weekends, holidays." She cut him off. "No." He raised an eyebrow. "I thought you might say that. That's why I've already talked to a lawyer." Leah's stomach dropped. "You're threatening me?" "No," he said too calmly. "Just letting you know what's coming. I've got the means to fight this in court." "You don't." He stood up, straightened his coat. "Think about it, Leah. This doesn't have to be a war." Then he was gone. Later that night, the apartment was dark, except for the soft light in the bathroom. Leah sat on the cold tile floor, holding her knees to her chest. Her shoulders shook as she tried to hold the tears in, but they fell anyway. She hadn't cried in a long time. Not like this. Not since Noah was born. She didn't hear him approach. Suddenly, there was a soft voice at the door. "Mom?" She quickly wiped her face. "Yeah, baby? Are we going to lose each other?" Her breath caught again, but this time for a different reason. She opened the door and pulled Noah into a hug. "No," she whispered, kissing his hair. "No one's taking you from me. I promise." He looked up at her, his eyes wide with worry. She wiped her tears and stood up straighter. "I'll fight Noah," she said softly but firmly. "I'll fight with everything I have." The papers came in the mail 2 days later. Leah opened the envelope with shaking hands and read the first line. Petition for shared custody. Marcus had done it. He really filed for custody of Noah. The words blurred in front of her eyes. He was claiming she was unstable, overworked, and not able to give Noah a balanced family life. He had written it like she was a danger, not a mother who had done everything for her son. Leah sat at the kitchen table for a long time, not moving. Her phone sat next to her, buzzing with messages she didn't check. Later that night, she called a legal aid number and left a message. The next day, they called her back. "We have someone who can help," the woman said kindly. "A young lawyer. He's just started, but he's smart and hardworking. His name is Ethan." Leah met Ethan in a small office with peeling paint and a broken fan. He was in his late 20s, glasses slightly crooked, tie a little too loose, but his eyes were sharp. He listened carefully as Leah told him everything about Marcus, the pregnancy, the years of silence. When she finished, he nodded. "You have a strong case," he said. "You've raised Noah alone. He's healthy, in school, well cared for. But Marcus has money, and people listen to money. This won't be easy." "I don't care if it's hard," Leah said. "I'm not letting him take my son." The court date came fast. Leah stood in front of the judge, heart pounding. Marcus sat across the room with his expensive lawyer, looking confident. His lawyer spoke first. He painted Leah as a sad, tired woman with too many jobs and not enough time for her son. He said she had emotional struggles and that Noah needed a stable two-parent home. Leah's jaw tightened. None of it was true, but it hurt anyway. Then Rachel was called to the stand. Leah's stomach turned. Rachel took the oath and then smiled sweetly, too sweetly. "I've seen her leave Noah outside after school. Sometimes she forgets to pick him up. Once he told me they didn't have dinner because she had to work late." Lies, all lies. Leah clenched her fists. Ethan stood up to question her, but the damage had been done. After that day, Noah changed. He became quiet, then angry. He got in trouble at school for pushing a boy. The teacher called Leah, saying he didn't want to talk to anyone. At home, Leah tried to keep things normal. She made his favorite foods, read bedtime stories, hugged him often. But she could feel it. He was scared, and deep down, so was she. Then one of her freelance clients emailed her. "Sorry, Leah. With everything going on, we're going with someone else for now. Hope things work out." Another one followed, and another. The work dried up fast. One night, after putting Noah to sleep, Leah went into her closet and pulled out an old box. Inside were papers, folded letters, worn with time. It was her pregnancy journal, letters she had written to Noah before he was born. She sat on the bed and read one. "I don't know what kind of world you'll come into, but I promise you this. I will love you even if the whole world turns away from me. I will fight for you even when I have nothing left." Her hands trembled. The words were raw, full of fear and love. Without thinking too hard, she took a photo of one page and posted it online, anonymously. She titled it, "A Letter to the Baby I Chose." The next morning, her phone buzzed. A lot. The post had gone viral. Thousands of people shared it. Comments poured in from single mothers, daughters, sons, strangers. They wrote, "This is my story too. You're not alone. Thank you for writing what so many of us feel." For the first time in weeks, Leah smiled, just a little. She didn't have money or power, but she had something else now, her voice. A week after her letter went viral, Leah got a message from someone running a small podcast in the city. "We read your letter. Would you be open to telling your story? We can keep your name private," the woman said. Leah wasn't sure at first. She was scared. What if it made things worse in court? What if people recognized her voice? But something inside her said yes, not just for her, but for the other mums who had written messages like, "I feel seen," and "You gave me courage." She sat in a quiet room with a microphone and a kind host named Carla. Leah spoke slowly, carefully. She talked about the night Marcus left, how she raised Noah alone, the jobs she worked, the shame she carried at PTA meetings. She didn't name names, but she didn't hide the pain either. She ended by reading another letter from her journal. "I don't always feel strong, but I'm still here, and if that counts for something, then maybe I'm doing okay." When the episode aired, the response was huge. People shared clips, posted quotes, sent emails of thanks. Single mums from everywhere said, "You said what I've never had the words for." Others told their own stories of being judged, left behind, or underestimated. Then something unexpected happened. The school board called an emergency meeting. Leah didn't even know at first, but Janelle texted her, "Girl, your voice is shaking this whole place up." Apparently, enough people had complained about Rachel's rude, unfair behavior, especially her lies in court, that the board had no choice but to review her role in the PTA. Leah couldn't believe it. For once, someone was looking at the whole truth. A few days later, another message came, this time from someone very different. It was an email from an editor at a well-known newspaper. "I heard your podcast. I think your voice matters. Would you consider writing a guest column for something on resilience, motherhood, and power?" Leah stared at the screen in shock. It had been years since anyone in the journalism world had taken her seriously. She wrote back, simply, Yes, I'd love to. Then came the final court date. The room was quiet, tense. Ethan stood tall beside her, papers in his hand. We found something, he said to the judge. Mr. Marcus Winter's financial records show multiple accounts that were hidden, one in a different name. That's fraud. Marcus's lawyer tried to object, but the judge allowed it. Then Ethan asked Marcus a question. Did you truly want custody of Noah, or was this about your upcoming marriage and the image it required? Marcus shifted in his seat. That's not relevant. The judge leaned forward. Answer the question, Mr. Winters. Marcus's voice cracked. I thought it would help me look better. They wanted a full family. That's all. Gasps filled the courtroom. Leah closed her eyes, breathing slowly. The judge spoke clearly. This court sees no reason to remove Noah from the only stable parent he's ever had. Custody will remain with Ms. Leah Carter. Case closed. Leah didn't cry this time. She simply held Ethan's hand, whispered, "Thank you," and walked out of the courtroom into the sunlight. She had won, not just in court. She had found her strength. And now, the world was finally listening. Leah walked out of the courtroom holding Noah's small hand. The sky was bright, and the air felt fresh. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel heavy or afraid. She didn't cry. Instead, she smiled, a real full smile that reached her eyes. Noah looked up at her. We won, didn't we? She nodded. Yes, baby, we did. That evening, after dinner, Leah sat at her desk. She opened her laptop and looked at the blinking cursor. Then, with steady hands, she typed her first article for the newspaper. This time, she used her real name. No hiding, no shame. The title was simple. She didn't break. The article went live the next morning. Within hours, it started trending. People shared it, commented, and thanked her for her honesty and strength. She received emails from editors and readers, all saying the same thing. Your story matters. More writing offers came in. Leah began building a steady career again, slowly but surely. Her words had power now, and she used them to speak for women like her. A week later, she got another call from the school. But this time, it wasn't bad news. Rachel had been suspended from the PTA. The school board found out about her lies during the custody case. Parents had complained too. Some even apologized to Leah for how she had been treated before. At school, Noah began to smile more. He started raising his hand in class, talking to other kids. One day, he stood up for a classmate who was being bullied in the hallway. When his teacher told Leah about it, she smiled with quiet pride. He's just like you, the teacher said. Brave. Marcus didn't show up again. No calls, no letters, just silence. The kind of silence Leah had once feared, but now welcomed. One afternoon, Ethan called. Just checking in. Want to grab a coffee sometime? Nothing serious, just to talk. Leah paused, looking out her window. For years, her life had been a storm, but now, for the first time, there was calm. She smiled softly. Yeah, I'd like that. Leah and Noah spent the weekend cleaning and decorating their small apartment. They painted one wall a soft yellow. It made the room feel warm and happy. They moved old furniture, cleaned corners, and added little touches that made the space feel new. Leah held a picture frame in her hands. Inside was a quote from one of the letters she had written during her pregnancy, the one that had gone viral. It said, "We are not broken, we are just becoming." She hung it gently on the wall above the couch. Noah walked over with a piece of paper. I made something, he said shyly. It was a drawing. In it, Leah stood tall, wearing a bright red cape, like a superhero. She had a big smile, and beside her was Noah, holding her hand. He placed it right next to the framed quote. Leah looked at it for a moment, then laughed softly, tears shining in her eyes. She bent down and kissed Noah on the forehead. You always make me proud, she whispered. That night, after dinner, they sat together on the couch, the warm yellow wall glowing behind them. No loud noise, no fear, just peace. When it was time for bed, Leah turned off the lights and looked at the framed words one more time. Yes, she thought, they were not broken. They were becoming stronger, braver, whole, and they were just getting started. Write a short, engaging call to action like this. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Bye.